There we go. Morning, Michelle.
Morning, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. It's really good to have you here. I mean, we talk all the time, but yeah, it's good to have you here, kind of like talking about what you do and how it helps and all that sort of thing. So, for those of you that have joined the challenge and have been following the group, I thought this would be really useful. Michelle's been helping me for, God, it's got to be over a year now, is it?
Must be
It's got
about
to
that
be,
time.
I think,
Yeah, yeah. So,
with her fantastic treatments. And it just seemed like the right thing to do to bring her on to talk about how she helps with the menopause. So this is kind of like the purpose of this chat. And yeah, it's really good to have you here. So
thank you
can
for
you
having me.
tell us all
Tell me all. Okay. What do you want to know?
like what you do and how come you got started into
Into
homeopathic remedies?
homeopathy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So homeopathy, I want to start by saying it gets bashed basically because it's very, very helpful for many, many things. I know we're talking about menopause today, which is fine, but I can help with pretty much most things. But what I want to also say is it's not just me taking your physical symptoms of menopause or whatever you're coming for. It is connected to your emotions. And you know, anybody that works with you, Lisa, knows this because of the EFT element that you do.
yeah,
And so this works so beautifully together. So every physical ailment we have is connected to an emotion. So when people come to see me, yes, I'm interested in your hot flushes, your itchy skin, your anxiety and all that, but I'm also looking at what's going on in your life, how you're feeling as a person, all of that. So I'm looking at the whole person, not just your physical symptoms. So how I got into homeopathy was I've been a homeopath, oh, crikey, 12 years now.
right.
And I started off by visiting a lady in Epsom, which is where I'm based, many moons ago. She's not even there now. But my son had really bad constipation, and I was in the school playground. You know, you always get these snippets of information in the school playground, don't you? All those years ago, he's going to be cringing if he saw this.
Oh,
And he was really suffering, right? Really suffering. And I just didn't know what to do with him. And it was like a big situation in the house every day. And I was telling this mum, and she said, "Oh, you want to take her to this lady?" So I took her, didn't know anything about homeopathy, didn't know what it was, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but I didn't have a clue. And I took her, and she also laid him on her healing couch, which is what I do with patients if you come in person with me. And she sort of gave him some hands-on healing. And yeah, then she mixed up these little sugar pills and gave them to me. And she said, just give him one a day. And literally it changed our life. There was no
really?
more crying, no more tummy aches. But she was saying to me she thought it was linked into him. At the time he was being picked on at school. So the two had gone together. So the emotional element of his constipation, it'd be different for everybody, was this element of fear. And the fear is in the stomach.
Yeah,
So he was holding on. You know, it's like he didn't want to go into
yeah,
school. He was gripping hold of me. And when she started talking about it in that way, I was thinking, oh, yeah, she's right. He clings to me, doesn't want to let go. They have to pry
right, yeah.
all of that. So soon as she gave us this bottle of, I can't even remember what she gave us now, but she gave us this bottle, and she had connected the emotional and the physical. So when you have homeopathy, each remedy has what we call a picture, and it's made up of emotions, mental, physical and emotional energy aspect
Right.
for the remedy. It's not just, oh, this is for constipation. So how does it work? So that's how I got into it. So, and then I just took him back for everything. I mean, Charlie had terrible, terrible tonsillitis. He would get it every month.
Yeah.
And I took him back there, and, you know, he's getting loads of antibiotics. This is before I was a homeopath, obviously. And she gave me these remedies. And we came home, and I was so scared because he used to get really sick. and you know, couldn't swallow, really high temperature, aching body, all of that. And I can remember having the antibiotic prescription in one hand and these remedies in the other. And she said, please just give it 2 days. And if you don't see an improvement, go and get your antibiotics if that's what you want to do. And literally within 2 days, he was just this different kid. And I kept him off school for 5 days because I just wanted to see how he was. And he never, ever had tonsillitis again.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how poorly kids get with tonsillitis. My son, nearly 17, he has it like a lot.
Well, I wanted to take his tonsils out.
Yeah.
Because he's got big tonsils like me. And I was like, no way, you're not taking his tonsils out, because those are your first port of call defense-wise, immune defense-wise. So if people have their tonsils out, and I'm not against people having their tonsils out, I just want to say that as well.
Oh,
if
God.
you've got to have them out, fine, have them out. But, you know, once that happens, you tend to find people start with asthma and chest infections because it's going from the, you know, right to stopping it going deeper, if you like. So then it goes. But we're not talking about tonsillitis, but, you know, I just wanted to say that. Yeah, so that's how my journey started. And then I was so like gobsmacked with how it helped Charlie that I decided to train to be a homeopath. And I went back to college at the age of 42.
Wow.
And yeah, 4 years of studying to be a homeopath. And I'd not done any study since I left school when I was 16. So it was like really heavy on the brain.
Yeah.
But I loved it. And it is my passion. I just absolutely love it. So how does it work? So it works on the law of similars. And what that means is like cures like. So what happens is this law is a substance that causes a disease can also relieve it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So let's take for an example, if you came with insomnia in the menopause, there's many remedies. There's never just one remedy. I want to say that as well. There's many remedies, and I'll go into that in a minute. But I may give you a remedy called coffea, which is made from coffee. Now you're going to go, why the hell am I going to want to take coffee that's going to
keep you awake? Yeah.
Keep you awake, right? So what I'm saying is like cures like. So by giving coffea, it alleviates and helps the symptoms of insomnia. Now, how are they? So, and again, you can use a remedy called allium sepia, which is for streaming eyes, streaming nose, hay fever remedy.
Okay.
Because with hay fever, you can have the runny, itchy eyes, runny nose, or the stuffed up nose, and that remedy helps with hay fever.
Right.
Now, this was made by a guy many over 200 years ago by Samuel Hahnemann. He was a German doctor, and he believed that the highest deal of cure is rapid, gentle, and permanent restoration of health. So the removal of all side effects. And how they're made is you take the substance, you dilute it into water. So say you'd have a bowl of water, you put your onion in, because onion is allium sepia, right?
Yeah.
So put your onion in, you leave it for, I think it's about 8 hours they leave them for. Take the onion out, they strain, and obviously if they dilute it into the water, they would strain it to take the bits out of it. And then they do this process called succussion, where they bang it. Okay, and the more you bang it, the higher the vibration, because remember, everything vibrates. You're vibrating, I'm vibrating, the desk is vibrating. So it's an energy medicine. So when people go, what's in it, I have to say nothing. And that's why a lot of people don't believe in homeopathy, because we're using the vibration. It's a vibration of that onion that is then used. So they succuss it, they bang it, and that gives us the strength. And then it's put into little bottles, and then we drip them onto pills. Or you've got machines now. I've got a machine that's a whole different ball game, but it's like frequencies are recorded, and then we get codes, and we put the codes in the machine and zap the remedies.
Really?
And that's the
end. Do you do all that in the shed, in your little cabin?
Yeah, it's all done here. So that's how it works. So what we're doing is we're matching your energy, which is why homeopathy is very, very individual and bespoke to each person. So you might be given a remedy for hot flushes and it works fantastically, and you tell your friend Kate, oh, you want to take this, Kate, it's fantastic, and it does nothing for her.
Right.
So there could be many reasons for this. One, it could be the completely wrong remedy because there's more than one. Or two, it could be the wrong potency. So if you're high vibe spirited, you're going to need not such a high remedy, you know, but if you're, you know, if you're high vibe and you're burning it off, you're going to need a higher potency. If you're really depressed and fed up and low, you might need something less.
Okay.
So basically my job is to match your energy with the right remedy for your symptoms, but also your emotions.
Right. So you really have to look at the whole, everything that's going on in that
We look
person's
at
life.
the whole person. We don't just take the symptoms like you would go, you know, like you go to your GP and you say, oh, I've got itchy eyes, I've got runny nose, I'm having a hot flush, I can't sleep. You know, that's why they give you HRT. But, you know, because there's so many different things.
So even with, like, if someone came to you with a hot flush and said, I can't cope with this anymore, please give me something that will help me, you wouldn't just look at the hot flush, you'd look at the whole being, the whole person, what they need.
Because they could be an angry sort of person,
Yeah.
you know, that's angry. So that's going to make them hot.
Yeah.
What's making you angry? Who's under your skin? You know, when you get eczema, it's like, well, who's getting under your skin? You know, who's triggering you? You know, what's going on there?
God's making me think already.
Do you need to detach from certain people or limit your time with certain people because they're triggering you? Or, but I always say to people, when they're triggering you, there's something within you.
Yeah.
You know this from your tapping.
I do.
So that's how it works. So it's a natural, safe, non-toxic, non-addictive energy medicine.
Love it. Brilliant.
I'll just touch on HRT. HRT has its place, 100%. I'm not against HRT in any shape or form. But when I went to see my doctor, when I was suffering many years ago now, because I'm sort of through the other side, well, not completely through the other side, but I'm getting there. I said to her, you know, these are my symptoms. Can you, I just wanted a blood test. I didn't want HRT. But the thing I would say with blood tests is your hormones are like this throughout the day. So unless you're really bad, it won't show up on a blood test. Okay, it won't.
No, mine didn't show up. No, mine didn't show up on a blood test because I had the coil in a few years, until last year. And so obviously my levels were totally different. Although I was getting symptoms, I had the coil, which was like balancing it out. So it wasn't a good reading, you know, my blood test. It wasn't accurate.
Then she also said to me, because it was interesting because I went when she'd just done a up-to-date menopause workshop through the NHS. And she said to me, my question to her was, okay, if I was to go on HRT, I had no intention of, but if I did, my brain can't compute, because at some point I've got to go through that.
Yeah.
And she said, absolutely right. She said, I've got people that are in their 70s and 80s going through the menopause because they've been on HRT for 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
So I say to my patients, if you're really, really struggling and I can't help you, because I can't help everyone, you know, or I can't get it to the level that somebody, you know, wants, then go on HRT. But just be aware at some point you're going to have to do this process. We all have to do it.
It's a natural process, isn't it?
It's like when you start your periods and you struggle with that, if you can remember that far back. You know, I've got my daughter going through it. So, you know, you remember, oh yeah, I remember that, you know, not being regular, you know, missing one, heavy periods, you know, not so, you know, scanty or whatever. So you have it the other end as well. You have to go through the process. So I always say to people, only do it HRT if you really have to, if you're really suffering. And some people are out there really suffering.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of those people out there haven't tried homeopathy. And yes, I'm going to say that. But, you know, I urge everybody to try it. You know, don't knock something until you've tried it.
Until you try it, yeah.
So, yeah. So yeah, what else do you want to know, Lisa? That's how it works.
That's how it works. So I want to know, I suppose, I mean, we'll come on to like a bit about how you've helped me in a little while, but how could you help specifically with menopausal women, menopausal symptoms? It must help with menopause in some way.
Well, you would come like exactly the same as you would go to the doctor. So
Right.
you'd rock up and
Going,
say,
oh
"Oh my God, I'm going
help
back."
me.
So yeah, I have someone come in and they say, I've got hot flushes, I've got anxiety. I have anxiety, what I call hormonal anxiety. So when my hormones are fluctuating, I'll get a big anxiety attack. But obviously I've got my remedies, and so it's fine. But somebody that hasn't got that is going to be on this emotional roller coaster of anxiety. And 9 times out of 10, it always comes on at night when you're about to go to bed, because you're slowing down, you're stopping, and you start thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
So they would come in, they might have low mood, they might have anxiety, they may have low energy, they may have brain fog, they may have hot flushes. These are just some of the points I've pulled out, because I know that I was trying to match what you were doing on your channel. So there is many remedies for each and every single one. And as I said to you earlier, just because I take arsenicum for my anxiety, you might need something completely different, like aconite or arginate.
Arginate.
So you have different like pictures. Like I said to you, they've all got a picture, and that's how we narrow it down. So the more people are honest with you, the more information you can give me, the easier it is for me to match your remedy. So if you get somebody that's very much about the physicals and they don't really want to go down that emotional road, it's harder.
But you'd be questioning why not? Like, why wouldn't they? Because that would be for me, if I was working with someone, I'd be looking at, well, there must be something in the reason why they don't want to address that at the moment.
Yeah, but
you have to gently do that.
Yeah, you have to gently do that. And a really good remedy, actually, you had it, is Nat Muir. It just gently opens the person up.
Does it?
When you're not getting a lot back, when they're only giving you snippets and not the big picture. I'm not saying that was you. I'm just saying, Nat Muir is a great remedy. It's a great remedy to start with anyway, for any case, because it just opens up and people get to talk to you. And I think also people have to start to trust you as well. When you first come, you don't know who I am. You've never spoken to me. You're not going to start sharing your most intimate details about your life. It takes time. But, so for arsenicum, it can be hormonal anxiety. It can be fear of your health. It can be connected to exhaustion, restlessness, nervousness, pacing around, can't focus, fear of death, fear of financial loss, fear of being left alone. Can you see how the whole picture? It's not just anxiety, So with aconite, it's more about shock. Right. So aconite, always remember, is, especially at college, it's like they said to us, it's like rabbit in the headlights, when you're like that. So it's a great remedy for newborn babies when they've just been born. But but it's great for people that are in that panic attacks, that are, oh, I'm going to die, I can't breathe, that anxiety. Always worse at night. It's always worse at night. If it's always worse at night, it's normally aconite. Can't breathe, palpitations, crying, hysterical, all of that. And then you've got arginate again, that's panicky, but it's also connected to the digestive system. So they have anxiety that they then have to run to the loo. So all these things, I'm asking you all these weird questions. Like I say to people, okay, what's your favorite food? It doesn't have to be healthy. And they look at me as gone mad. But it's like, well, do you like the sun, or do you not like sitting in the sun? Are you a morning person? Are you, when's your best time of day? What's your worst time of day? When your symptoms are, all of that information gives me a picture of you as a person. And then I can match the remedies, because I might have two, like aconite and arginate for anxiety are very similar, but one's got digestive issues and one hasn't. So if you say to me, oh God, every morning I have to run to the loo, or I have these panic attacks and then I have to run to the loo, I know it's arginine over aconite, because it's got the digestive stuff. I
Right.
think that explains it a little bit, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's very individual for each person. So I can't, you know, if someone said to me, if you said to me today, give me a hot flush remedy, I could, but it might not necessarily work for you. There's 16 hot flush remedies.
Is there? Right.
So can you see why now? You know, one of them might have depression in. One might be that you sweat on your face, or you get red. I go very blotchy here on my, you know, on my, I don't know what you call that, your chest area, your upper chest. You know, I don't sweat. I don't sweat. The only place I sweat is my forehead. So if someone says I only sweat on my forehead, I never sweat under my armpits, or someone might say, oh, I sweat in my groin. All of that is telling me, oh, it's that remedy, or it's this remedy, or it could be, oh, I just get hot on the face.
Okay.
Or I get a wave that starts from my feet and it comes up. You know, a lot of women get hot flushes that come up.
Yeah.
Some people, I wake up every night drenched in sweat. That's China, the remedy China. So that's how it works. So for me, I can give you like a few, you know, a few things like memory. It's about, you know, calc carb is a remedy that's all about worries about everything.
Right.
Okay, so they're brain fog, they're worrying about everything, they're overworked, they're exhausted, they're forgetful, they're confused, they can't find their words. And then like a post is about weak memory, confused thoughts. It's a great remedy for dyslexia as well, but weakness of the memory, they can't remember people's names or letters, they can't.
Oh yeah.
So it's all very individualized. So it's very difficult to even do a menopause workshop unless you're doing it live, because then you can go around to each person and go, okay, do you get anxiety, or how do you, and then other people can see how it works.
Yeah.
So it is very individualized. Yeah, you wanted me to talk about energy, didn't you?
Yeah, like, you know, when you get really low energy and you just want to, I mean, somebody who I know, she's really suffering with this. It's been a long-standing thing. I don't want it just to be about her symptoms, but this sort of thing. I mean, I used to do it myself. Used to get to like the afternoon, or it wasn't always a certain point in the day, and I just used to go to bed. I just couldn't function. Now, some of that I've learned what that is in my life, and I've kind of can work through it. But still now, there's times when I just can't function. And I know this other lady, she just shuts down. It's like she just can't carry on.
Okay. Does she sleep well, or does she not sleep well?
She sleeps well, yeah. And I did. We're very similar like that. We sleep really heavy. We love sleep. So it's, but then we just can't cope. Can't. It's like you just you can't carry on. You just got to sleep.
A great remedy for that general wave of tiredness is carbo veg.
Carbo veg
is the remedy, or phosphorus. So phosphorus is like a match. You strike it and it's burning, but when it's gone out, it's out.
Right.
Like burnt out. You know,
yes.
I can't do anymore. So phosphorus, I would say, probably would be the remedy for you.
That sounds interesting.
So you strike it, you've got all this energy. It's like you get up in the morning, you're at the gym at 6 in the morning and you're like pumped and you're running around all day. And yeah, I'm describing you. And it's like great. And then suddenly you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's like that. If you light a match and watch it burn, it's fizzling, it's sparkling, it's hot, it's vibrant, and then suddenly it goes boof, gone. There's no warning. It's gone out. And you're like, oh, okay.
That's exactly how it feels.
Phosphorus.
Now, I don't know whether that's a hormonal imbalance that I've had, but I've had that for a long time where I can't. And it's like the only thing that will make me feel okay is to sleep. It's like my eyes are just, no, I can't do it and I have to sleep. So that might be, yeah.
The other thing I would suggest, because I do herbs as well, not just homeopathy, but is ginseng. If you get some ginseng, It's the red one. And take that in the morning. That'll see you through the day.
Really? Now, ginseng in the 90s was a drink.
I'm talking about liquid. I'm not talking about the tablets, by the way. It's a
Oh,
what?
right. It was a drink. I remember buying bottles of it out. Ginseng, it was like an
I'm not
alcoholic
talking
alco
about.
pop.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about energy drinks either.
No, no.
Take energy drinks because they just spike you. This is ginseng. It's a herb, and it will just take you through the day.
Brilliant.
And it helps boost your immune system as well, so it keeps the colds at bay, or
Really
any of
good.
those other viruses that we're not allowed to talk about.
No, let's not go down that route.
Don't go that.
So there's, I mean, God, we could be here all day looking at different remedies for one symptom. I mean, you know, you just said there was like 16 for what, anxiety or something?
What did I say? 16 for hot flushes.
For hot flushes, just for one symptom.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be here all day, but the fact
we've
is,
got to match the emotion as well. And you know, you could be having hot flushes, but you're full of energy. Yeah. And you could have another person that's getting hot flushes that's just wearing them down and making them feel depressed.
Yeah.
It's going to be completely two different remedies. You know, it's got, and you know, and I don't know, you know, there's 400,000 remedies in my book. Right. I can't remember them all. So we take the case, and sometimes I will prescribe for you there and then. And sometimes I might say, right, I need to get my books out and just look at a few of these threads that you've given me, because that's what I like to call the symptoms and the emotions threads, or pieces of a puzzle. It's like a puzzle. You give me the pieces and I've got to try and fit it together. And then once we've got the remedies, we then got to look at your energy state to see what potency, i.e. strength, you can have. Because they go from three, you know, we've got X and C potencies. I'm not going to go into that because it gets a bit technical, but we go from 3 right up to 100,000 in strength. Yeah, but it's all natural. You can't get addicted to it. And also I want to also say, like, if you go to the doctors and they give you antibiotics for something, say, because if you've got bad acne in menopause, which you can get, they'll give you antibiotics. So you can only take one of them 4 times a day or whatever they prescribe. With homeopathy, you know, you can't overdose. So I can say to you, you know, most people like a guide. They like me to say how many times a day to take it. But eventually, once you get to know your own body and how homeopathy works, you will find your own pattern of when you need it, because you only take homeopathy while you need it. And
when
then
you need
stop.
it. Okay.
Yeah. So you stop. And then it's like, oh, I've had a really bad week of flushes. Okay, take your remedy 3 times a day.
Okay.
And then it might be, you know, I'm all right now. Well, stop then. And then as soon as you have that next flush, you take another dose. And acute things like tonsillitis, when you want to get it in quick, you know, in the old days, I don't know if they still do this, doctors now, I haven't been to one for such a long time, but I can remember them giving me antibiotics for Charlie and telling me to give him double dose to get it in his system. Well, with homeopathy, I can say to you, right, for the first hour, take that every 15 minutes or every 10 minutes. In a temperature, if it's really high and we want to get it down fast, it's every 10, 15 minutes until it starts coming down.
Powerful stuff.
It's not addictive, you see. So I can prescribe it how you need it, because the amount of times you take a remedy depends on how quickly you're burning it off. So especially with the temperature, if you've got a high temperature, there's no good me saying to you take one remedy every 4 hours. It's not going to work.
No.
Because you're burning it off like that. Your body's doing this.
Yeah.
It needs to go in every 10 minutes so that your body goes, oh, okay, I've got some support here. I can start coming down.
It is pretty powerful stuff, isn't it, really, then? If you know, do people have to, right, so this is a bit of a weird question, but I'm just thinking, do you have to, like, so with me, when I work with somebody, they've got to buy into being very open-minded, and, you know, they've got to trust the process, really. Do you sometimes work with people that are very kind of on the fence with it, but try it anyway? Do they have to be like, do they have to trust the process for it to
You do
work.
have to trust the process of anything, don't you? It's the same if you took an antibiotic, you've got to trust that it's going to work.
But people just take them, don't they?
Yeah,
They
because
just
that's all
take
they've
them.
known. They don't know no different. That's how, you know, they're brought into the world in a hospital, they're jibby
Yeah.
jab, this, that, and the other, and that's how life is, you know. That's how, you know, that's why, you know, this is our time for alternative therapies, because as you can see in the news, everybody's being exposed and the pharmaceutical industry is being exposed.
Yeah.
And that's why they want to shut homeopathy down, because they won't make any money, you know. But that's a whole ball game, which I'm not going to, you know, don't get me on my soapbox. But, you know, yes, you do have to be open to it. And I have people that go, I took my remedy today, nothing's happened.
Right.
Okay, well, okay. Would you have took an antibiotic one and then phoned the doctor and said they're not working? No, you wouldn't. You take the course.
Yeah.
So keep going. Keep going. So with homeopathy, it works either very quickly or it can take a gradual time for it to work.
Okay.
It may be that we've got the right remedy and it works, and then 2 or 3 hours later it's not working again, so you have to take another dose. And that just means that when you come back and tell me that, it just means we need to make it stronger for you. It means you're burning it off quicker.
Yeah.
So the more I get used to, you know, I have when people come, they come for one thing and they pretty much stay for me, and then whenever they get sick,
they come back.
Yeah, they come back. Because it is a natural form, you know, it is a natural form of healing. And I forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah, they just come, they come back, but it is matching that person's energy all of the time. So you know, it's not, it's like, go with it, you know, don't give up. And I have people come back and go, I said, how'd you get on? Oh, nothing's changed. And I always write a list of the symptoms you give me, always, right? And then I'll go, okay, well, let's just have a quick look at what happened to you last month when you came. And I go, oh, right, you were having headaches, you couldn't sleep. Oh, yeah, I'm sleeping better. They tend to hook on to the things that aren't working and haven't changed, and they forget about, you know, because it could be the smallest thing that they've slept the whole night without waking up. And
we're programmed that way, aren't we? We don't notice our progress.
No. So it's really good to reflect back, but it is also, you know, you have to be patient. You have to be patient. And if you've got what we call a maintaining cause, where somebody, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. If you're in, I'm just using an example of myself. If you are in a toxic relationship like I was, right, so a lot of my symptoms were triggered from the emotional state that I was in, being married to somebody, right, which I'm not anymore. But he was my maintaining cause. So the whole time I was going to my homeopath saying, this is happening, and she was supporting me emotionally. He was the maintaining cause. So until he left, we split up, that then improved everything. So now I'm working on the trauma of that. So there's always healing to be done. So you might have a maintaining cause. It might be that you're living in a house where you've got an animal that you're allergic to, that you don't want to give that animal up, or the person's animal that it could be somebody in the family's really attached to the animal, and you just can't get rid of it. Yes, we can hold you at a certain level, but until that animal's removed, you're not going to completely heal. So we have maintaining causes, and that can be emotions as well. It can be past traumas. So I had this lovely soul come, massively bad eczema, all crusty on the eyes. You know who she is. I spoke to you, we discussed it. You worked with her as well. Really bad eczema. And all she wanted was to look better so she could go out to work. She wasn't even going to work, right? She was claiming benefit because she just thought, And I worked with her for a good year. But we started looking at her childhood, her parents, how that affected her, till we got to the crust of the root of the problem, is that she didn't feel safe. As soon as we started dealing with all those emotions and all that had happened to her, and there was no judgment, because as parents we do the best we can with what the knowledge we have and the traumas we carry from our own childhood.
Yeah.
Her skin's cleared. Completely. You wouldn't recognize. If I gave you 2 pictures, you would go, that is not the same person.
I've seen her, yeah, and there is it is a huge improvement, isn't it?
Yeah. But she was willing to do the work, Lisa, and this is another thing I want to say. You have to be willing to dig deep, and to do the work. And as you know, I've given, sent people to you that where I've got them to a certain point, and I'm like, you need to do some tapping as well as that, because these 2 modalities go so well together.
They do, yeah, they do work really well together, the emotional bit and releasing stuff so that you can work on the physical. It's it does go hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also the remedies and the flower essences, that that all works on the emotional level as well. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's it. Honestly, it's amazing. So I just want to touch a little bit on the help that you've given me
on your hair,
right? So I don't mind sharing a little bit about the reason why we started working together.
I think you need to say that, because I don't want to say anything that I shouldn't.
No, that's okay. I'm not going to go into it, right? I'm just going to, because it is a menopausal symptom.
Yeah.
Although mine wasn't menopausal symptom. So basically, it just makes sense if I say what it is. So over the last few years ago, I started to lose my hair, didn't I? And I was losing it on the top and at the sides. And it was like a gradual process. And then I looked at a photo a few years ago, and I had like a gap. And I was out on a night out, and someone took a photo, and there was just this huge gap in my head, on my hair. And I just was like absolutely like traumatized. And I realized then that I'm losing my hair. Now, this had been such a gradual process that I didn't really notice it up until that photo, really. And it wasn't really an issue. And as soon as I saw it, it was pretty bad. It was. And then I just started to focus in on it all the time. And then I think it went even worse than that. So when we met through a networking event, I think it was, I was interested in how your work works. And I asked for some help around it. Now, hair loss is a menopausal symptom. When your estrogen drops, people's hair does sometimes fall out. Not everyone. Yeah, it goes thin.
Everybody gets thinner hair as they get older.
Yes.
I remember my mum, I've got really thick hair. My mum had really thick hair, but now she's back combing it over little patches of, where her hair's got. She's not lost it. It's just got thick.
So some of it is age related, some of it, again, it's different people, different things that why this happens. So anyway, I'm talking about it because it's a menopausal symptom and it is affecting lots of people. And for me, it was horrendous. Like I felt like I wasn't a woman so much. I felt quite old. I felt bare. I felt lots of really negative things. So I got Michelle to help me, and we looked at the whole being, my whole emotional journey from being a kid, probably before that, like past life stuff, if you believe in that sort of thing, which I do. And we looked at everything. And over the last, I think it's been about a year that I've been taking my remedies.
Because the protocol you were on, because I wanted to talk about that as well. With homeopathy, you can have protocols that have been proved, because what happens is when they prove a new remedy, they get a group of people and they make the remedy how I told you earlier, and then everybody takes it, and what they do is they write down how they feel, any physical symptoms, and that becomes the remedy picture. I should have told you that earlier, sorry. And then they know that remedy helps with this. So this emotional picture, this mental picture, this physical picture. And then in India, that is their main medical system out there, is homeopathy. So they don't have anything else. Well, their majority is homeopathy. So they brought out these, want of a better word, they call them protocols, but I like to call them blends because I think it's a nicer word. So when you would you know, looking up separate remedies for you, I found it quite difficult, if I'm honest, because there was so much going on. You know, you had that menopausal element, you had, you know, the childhood element, you had lots of things going on. Yeah. So I thought, oh, I'll have a look at my blends. And I found one that was for alopecia. Now, I'm not saying you had alopecia, because I don't think, because that's normally patches, you know, on the head. And I just thought, okay, so I looked at the remedies that were in that blend. So you had hepa, you had mucilage, phosphorus, and you had fluorite acidum. Okay. And I basically thought, right, I've not treated this in this extreme. I've done thin hair thinness, which I've used tissue salts, which are salts of the body that we all have. And when you normally boost them, lots of things clear up. So I decided to follow this protocol. And if I'm honest, you're a bit of a guinea pig, Lisa. You know, I
didn't know that.
I hadn't used this before. Well, if I told you I hadn't used this before, guinea pig, you're
True.
gonna go, this ain't gonna work then, is it? You know. So we followed that, you know, and over that time, and the protocol is for 6 weeks, so it's quite a long time. Normally I see people every 4 weeks, but it was over 3 months you were doing it, weren't you?
Yeah.
So that was a bigger time change. So I should have said 12 weeks, not 6. So I normally see people 4 to 6 weeks, but this was like 12 weeks. So it was interesting when you come back, because I didn't know, you know, you never know if it's going to work or not, because it all depends on the own person's mindset. And also, if they remember to take their remedies, the amount of people that come in and go, oh, well, I took them for about 3 days and then I forgot. Well, how am I meant to know if the remedy's working if you're not taking it? You know, I can only prescribe it for people, and it's down to them then, if it's their responsibility to take it as directed. But it's amazing how many people come back and go, oh, I forgot to take it for a week. Well, it's not really helpful. All I'm going to do is say, well, you need to go away and take it for another 4 weeks.
You've got to commit to it, haven't you? And make sure you do it.
You've got to, you know, you've got to take responsibility for your own health and well-being. So that's what we did with you, and it just worked, didn't it? And but then I always found that there was something you weren't 100% saying at times. I felt there was that element there, which is why I gave you NatMure. So NatMure is for, I've written a few key points down. Disappointment. I'm not, and all of this, you might not, when I read remedies out to people, I say to them, you're not going to have all of this, because you're not. You're going to have key elements of it. And betrayal is in there. Disappointed love. Now, that could be romantic love, or it could be love of a parent. Depressed, low mood, fed up. Everything's a struggle. Can't cry in front of other people. So holds it. Everything's held in with an NatMure. It's like, I'm fine. You know, when someone you go to, how you doing? Yeah, I'm fine. And you think, no, you're not. That's an NatMure person. They hold grudges as well.
Oh, that's me. I'm terrible.
Fear of rejection. And hair falling out. And I thought, how interesting.
That's weird.
A hair falling out. So that is why I added that into your prescription along the way. And I think that remedy really helped you, because it helped you to see different aspects of what was going on around you and past traumas that, you know, were coming to the surface for you that you need to tap on. Because I mean, obviously you don't need me as much as some other clients will, because you've got your tapping. So you were able to, things were coming up, you were able to tap on them. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of this you knew about, but it was like, oh yeah, I'll deal with that later. It's like I say to people, we box things in boxes. And we go, oh, I'll just put that, I'll do it. I'll put that one on the shelf. And you leave it up there and you think, well, I ain't had that one down for a bit. Let's have that one. We'll have a look at that. And when that gets too much, it goes back and you bring that one down. So by having NatMure, it opens you up to really seeing what is coming to the surface here. What do I, you know, to get to the root cause.
And I think I noticed that on one of our calls once when we had like a catch up about my hair last year. And I think we were talking about rejection or something, and something just popped in my head, and I thought, God. And it was something that it was there, but I never really
Had any
thought that
attention.
would be an issue.
Yeah.
And it's not a massive issue, but I think it was attached to my hair loss. I absolutely believe that true now, because when I started to tap on that, I felt a little bit better. I felt.
Would it be like a subconscious, because you know more about the subconscious than I do, and is it like that was sort of in your subconscious somewhere that wasn't a big issue, but it was affected, it was connected, like you just said, it
It's
was
connected.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it was connected.
it's not in your peripheral, is it? It's not like you're
No.
aware, your awareness of.
Because it was a big deal at the time, but actually looking back, before I started to tap on it, it wasn't a big deal. I was like, just something that happened. But I think I'm pretty sure, well, I'm 100% sure it was. And not going into any other detail about it because I don't want to, but it was attached to somebody, specific. And that was really telling. Yeah.
And I think that's where NapMure opened you up.
Yeah, maybe.
Always left sometimes our calls thinking, she's not telling me the whole story. And that's okay, because I say to people, you will tell me what you need to tell me when you need to tell me it.
Yeah.
And I had a client I worked with for about 2 years, and she had arthritis, very young. And I just thought, what is this? There's something she's not telling me. And I gave her, I can't even remember what remedy I gave her. It was probably NapMure. No, it wouldn't have been NapMure because I would have done that sooner. I can't remember. We gave her a remedy. I can't remember what it was now because it's too long ago. And she sat down and she told me she'd been abused as a kid.
Right. Yeah.
And as soon as she told me that, I was like, oh, now I know what remedy you need.
Yeah, now you know, and you can work at a deeper level and get the better results, which is what
But
it's all
people
about.
don't do that until they're ready, Lisa. And as practitioners, we do have to respect that. It's frustrating at times because there's something deeper.
Yeah, you see it,
But
you feel it, but you can't they're not ready.
They're not ready to face it. And the thing is, you will not heal until you get the root cause. It's like pulling up a weed in the garden. Unless you get the root out, it's going to grow again.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that.
So
Totally.
and obviously everything's layered as well. So I get people come, and they say, I've got this, that, and the other, and I'll say X, Y, Z, and they go, oh yeah, I've already tried that, or you're not telling me something I don't already know.
Right.
I've healed that. Oh no, it's nothing to do with my mum. I've healed that. I've sorted that out. Well, I'm sorry. You may well have cleared a few layers, but you've not got to the root.
Yeah.
So until you go and have that conversation with your mum and actually say how you feel, and I did that with my own mum, the root cause is not going to come to the surface,
Yeah.
So then you're like sticking a plaster on. So
yeah, all the layers. A bit like Shrek, aren't we? I'm an ogre. I've got layers.
And menopause is that as well. We all look at it as a natural process that we go through, and of course it is, but it's a huge thing that people don't realize, and men certainly don't understand, is you've spent your life as a nurturer. Even as a little girl, you would have nurtured an animal or a brother or a sister or a friend, whatever. Then not everybody becomes a mother, but those of us that have become mums, then that is our life. You're a mum to the day you die. Doesn't matter how old your kids are. That's what my mum says to me. I'm 55 this year. My mum says, where'd you come when you're in trouble? Back to me, because they're older, they're wiser, they've got more knowledge. So you're always a mum. And then suddenly they leave the nest, don't they? I mean, that was the biggest hole for me when Charlie had his own baby and then left home, all in a matter of, a short space of time, and straight after his dad leaving. So it was a massive, I suddenly went from having this family that I was nurturing, going through the menopause, and then these people were leaving, and you have this massive hole. And I know I'm experiencing it again when Libby gets to that point, but it's like, who am I?
Yeah.
Suddenly you spend all your time oh, I can't wait till their kids are older and I can do what I want to do. And then suddenly they're gone and you're like, you've spent such a long time nurturing and doing all that, that you suddenly think, oh, who am I?
Yeah, it's a massive thing, isn't it?
And then I think that's when we have more time to concentrate on our symptoms of the menopause. And I think that's when sometimes it gets worse, because you've got time to think about your hot flushes, where before you didn't have to, because you were cooking dinner, or
Yeah.
you were, you know,
Yeah.
doing your school run or whatever. Yeah, so I think that also plays a big part. That emotional thread is very important.
Yeah.
And doctors don't see that. See, doctors just,
no.
what's your hot flush? Oh, here's your hot flushes. Take that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
can't
it's not
sleep, have a
really
sleeping pill.
not
Yeah,
tackling at what's underneath all of that. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Getting as deep as you can so that you get the best results that you can possibly get in your life.
absolutely.
So, I mean, so interesting. So my hair, just to finish off, is loads better.
Yeah, we've still got a little bit of work to
We've
do.
still got some work to do. I'm actually
Yeah.
going for a hair consultation today to see what.
Oh, let me know what she says.
Let me know what she says. We've still got some work to do, but it is definitely better. I mean, maybe I'll always have thinnish hair, and that's okay, but I haven't got the holes that I did before, so I feel so much better. I suppose just to finish up, really, Michelle, there's so much that that is in this. So how can people work with you? How can they, how can you help them? How can they work with you specifically?
Well, for me specifically, I offer a package with homeopathy, because I find over the years when I do I mean, you can pay for a single session,
Okay.
but I find that you don't sometimes hear back from them, and then you go, oh, I wonder how they got on. I wonder if that remedy worked. I wonder if it didn't, So, and I always say to people, you need to have a minimum of 2, if not 3, because you don't, if you've never worked with homeopathy before, you won't know how you're going to respond. And I'm quite a gentle homeopath. I don't give, I go in gently, because we don't know how your body's going to respond. And then we can vamp it up as and when we need to. So I offer 3, so that you can have your initial consultation with me, which is about an hour and a half. And we do all the really big questions and all the weird questions that you're going to go, why the hell is she asking me that? And then I'll prescribe for you. Then obviously you come back in 4 to 6 weeks and we see how you're doing with the remedy, if it's helping or if we need to tweak it, or if we need to add something else. And then obviously the third one is your follow up from that. And we're just seeing how you're going and if you're improving, and then you can make that decision if you want to keep going, or if you think, yeah, I've got to the place where I want to be, because not everybody wants to be completely cured. I don't know why.
No, true.
Some people are happy, and obviously it's about money nowadays as well, isn't it, in the life that we're living in. So that's how I work. So all your remedies in the package are included. So all of your homeopathic remedies, all your herbs, all your flower essences. You can work with me online, so you don't even have to come to Epsom. You're more than welcome to if you want to, but I do most of my work now on Zoom.
Yeah.
So I will then post out your remedies. That's all included in your cost. So for your guys here, for their first package, if they want to work with me, I'm going to discount it from 180 to 160.
Brilliant. Thank you.
£20 saving on that for those first 3. Yeah, if you want to come, you can come. You can go on the couch as well if you want to do that. That's fine. But yeah, mainly over Zoom now.
Well, it works brilliant. I mean, that's all
Well,
I've
I
found, and it's
could get to
fantastic.
see more people as well. It's easier to.
It's easier, yeah. People can sit in their pajamas and just talk to you if they want to.
Yeah, that's it. And I think sometimes people feel more comfortable on a Zoom call than they do in actual person.
Yeah.
So, and then if you want, if you have like what we call acute, so if you get a cold or the flu or something like that, then you can contact me and I'll do you what I call an acute prescription, which is £20. I am not allowed to prescribe you a remedy without a consultation.
Right.
Or that you have to have a consultation. We can't. I don't have a homeopathic license like Helios, for instance, who are a company in London that sell homeopathic remedies.
Right.
I can't do that. So I offer a 30-minute free consultation to discuss your symptoms, and I can decide, if we're a good fit, and if I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
And then or you can pay as you go, but the sessions are £75 each session.
Okay.
Or you can have the package, which obviously works out quite a bit cheaper.
Works out better, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. And it just gives you that time to be patient, because people do look at it as like being the doctor, going to the doctor. Oh, I've got this pill, it hasn't worked. Like sometimes you have antibiotics, don't you, and it doesn't work. You go back and you get a stronger antibiotic. And they don't do that. They just go, oh, that's rubbish, that stuff don't work, don't do that. And it might just be that they need it to be slightly stronger, or we might need to add 2 remedies,
Tweak it a little bit. Yeah.
We did that with you, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yours.
Yeah.
So, I wish I had a magic wand that I could just wave and...
Oh, don't we all?
Ding,
there you go. Everything's fine.
Better. But you do have to do the work. You do have to put that emotional element in.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you won't completely heal.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
I think that we've covered so much, and there is so much more to cover. But I think for now that's enough.
You can contact, my website's just my name, michellewest.co.uk. It's just been revamped at the moment, so it's a little bit all over higgledy-piggledy, but there's going to be a book now button on there hopefully today, so you could just go on there and book into my diary. If you want to contact me, it's michellewestinfo@gmail.com. You can contact me and we can have a chat. And I'm here to help as many people. My passion is to help as many people as I can.
If you one of us will go into the group, to the challenge group, and we can put your details in so that people can find you easily, and we'll do that today. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been really good. And we catch up all the time, so I will be catching up with you again soon.
If I can help just one person, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah. And any questions?
You don't have to suffer.
No, I know. You've got to do something about it, take some action. Any questions, if you're watching this on the replay, any questions you've got, just drop them in the group, and you can have a look. And answer them. And I probably wouldn't be able to answer them, but you certainly will. It's your stuff.
I'll go in the group and answer them for you. Don't worry.
So yeah, let us know if you've got any questions. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank you, my lovely, and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.